What are the pros and the cons of living in Indian Wells, California? Is it worth the high price tag? In this video, I'm going to give you the inside scoop. My name's Tommy Jordan, your Palm Springs area realtor. So let's get started. It's sort of confusing when you first think of the Coachella Valley or the Palm Springs area, as I like to call it. And the reason being because most people, here's a map right now, when they think of Palm Springs, California, all they know is Palm Springs right over here, located in the west, and it really starts the valley right over here by Highway 111. But not too many people know Rancho Mirage, Indian Wells, Palm Desert, or La Quinta, and really what differentiates each city from the other. Because even though they're all minutes apart from each other, each city is so vastly different. And as someone who's helped a lot of clients move and live in Indian Wells, family and friends that live in Indian Wells, I'm here to give you a perspective from a local to help you make up the best decision of whether you want to move here or live here or not. So let's get into it. The first reason why a lot of residents love living in Indian Wells is the location. The one thing that Indian Wells has is that it's very central in the valley. So what this means, if you say want to get to El Paseo for all the shopping and dining, they say El Paseo is the Rodeo Drive of the desert. It's not far away. You're literally minutes away from, Tiffany's or Mitch's or, Tommy Bahama's or Wilman Frida's, a bunch of fun restaurants, shops, minutes away. Or say you want to go to the river where we have some more like our movie theater and Cheesecake Factory, that kind of stuff, bigger retail. Bigger chain restaurants. You could go over to the river. I always mention the river, but it's like the river's nothing special. They need to put like some higher end stores there, especially since it's in Rancho Mirage, but it's still fun to visit because there's a river. It's a man-made river. Another thing about the location is that you're not far from the Palm Springs airport. I would say, maybe 25 to 30 minutes. So it's not like you're really close in Rancho Mirage, but you're still not far if this is, for example, a second home and you're flying in and out. But one of the main things about the location is that it's far from the wind and all of the sand. So let's take a look. If you could see right here, Indian Wells is located in the southern area of town. And if I show you maybe this map, you could sort of see right here, we have the Santa Rosa Mountains. I'm going to change it so you can see it better. But all this green, this is a mountain range, the Santa Rosa Mountains. And the communities of Indian Wells, the neighborhoods, are right up here, up against the mountain. You could see some footage right here. That's one of the things that make Indian Wells so attractive and luxurious is what you're getting. Our ocean view are the Santa Rosa, the San Jacinto Mountains. Okay, that's what everyone wants to see. And living back here, you have bighorn sheep, you have just the beautiful mountains, sunsets. I mean, it's gorgeous, but you also avoid the wind. Say if you're anywhere in the valley closer to this 10 freeway in North Palm Desert, North La Quinta, anywhere, North Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, if you're by Dinah Shore, it gets really windy. And it's not just the wind, but it's also the sand. And I mean, it could cover your back patio, but living by the freeway, it's a lot less price per square foot. It's more affordable. So for a lot of people, it's a good trade-off. But Indian Wells, it's the best of the best. It's the most expensive city in the entire valley. And in my opinion, they have one of the best, most sheltered locations when it comes to wind and sand. For example, it could be a day where I'm showing a home somewhere by the 10 freeway, and then say I go over to Indian Wells during that same time frame, maybe 10 minutes later, and by the freeway, it's a gust of wind and sand. I mean, a strong gust. I mean, it's like trees are knocking and stuff. It's like, watch out for your kids or they're going to fly away like, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. But then you go over to Indian Wells and it might just be a little breeze. And that's luxury, okay? You're paying for these little details that make this city worth living in. And notable mention, you're also by La Quinta, so you're not far from, let's say, all the PGA West, all the golf courses there. There's a lot of big box stores not far away, Costco, Target, that sort of thing. And then you're not far from the tennis gardens, where we have our famous tennis event, which is great. You also have the polo fields not far away, whether if you own polo ponies, I know it's popular, especially if you live in Indian Wells, you got the money to do that, or say you just want to go to Coachella and just live a wild night. There you go. You could go not far away. So that would be the first reason why most people pick, the first pro about living in Indian Wells would be the location. The second thing is going to be living a life of luxury. Indian Wells, like I said earlier, has the highest priced homes in the valley on average. So the median list price, by the way, this market report's in my description of the video. If you want this free, it's weekly. The median list price in Indian Wells is 1.8 million. And you'd be surprised what you can get for 1.8 million. This is for a detached home. And that's overall the entire city. If we compare that to Palm Desert, which is next door, the median list price is around 740,000. You compare it to La Quinta, it's in the 900,000 range. So you could see how drastic the difference is. Well, what do you get for that price? Well, one thing you get are resident benefits. Only Indian Wells really has something like this. When you're a member, you could see this is on the City of Indian Wells website. You get discounts to different hotels, different spas, golf. I think even the first week of the tennis tournament, you get free tickets. I mean, you just get a lot of different things that cities don't necessarily offer. So I would also want to say, drive through Indian Wells. One thing about Indian Wells is that it's gorgeous. The city is manicured perfectly and it's very lush and green. I'm just driving. This is actually the Miramonte Hotel. It's now Tommy Bahama's right there. But actually, sorry, wait, no, that's actually right up there. But we're just going through the streets of Indian Wells. And even in summertime, there's the mountains that I was talking about right there. Even in summertime, the streets, the landscaping looks perfect. There's the new Tommy Bahamas right there, or renovated new ownership. And then Esmeralda, Renaissance over here as well, more hotels. These are just tidbits, okay? We're having a little driving tour. If you drive through, say, the city of Palm Desert, it's gonna look more deserty. I don't know what to say. Let me just drop you over here. And nothing bad about that. Like, I love Palm Desert. Palm Desert's great. But do you see that already? This is so great. Okay. I love Google Maps. Do you see the difference? See, Palm Desert, the median has just like some dirt and a few like sparse plants. In Indian Wells, that doesn't happen. You have luscious grass. There you go. I just went back to Indian Wells and you could see the difference. So that's really one of the things you're paying for. It's the way they upkeep the city. Now, another benefit, and this is still on the luxury lifestyle, because you feel different when you drive through Indian Wells. And it's just like if you get into a Porsche, you get into an Audi. I mean, I love luxury cars. You get into a Mercedes, it feels different than, say, a Honda Civic. And you're just paying for the little details. So that's what I got to cover for you so you get why it's so different. So one thing about living in Indian Wells, one of the residents' benefits are that, say it's trash day and they're coming to pick up your trash. Well, homeowners in Indian Wells, they're not allowed to stick their trash on the street. The trash man will actually go up to the house, go on the side yard. He'll bring the trash cans out, and that's how they take out the trash. You don't even have to do it yourself. And that's not just for homes in the gated HOA areas. That's for the non-gated areas as well. So that's pretty sweet. The next part that makes Indian Wells very luxurious are the communities. Most of Indian Wells is going to be gated with golf courses and country clubs. Think country club living. There are some areas right below Highway 111, right by IW Coffee, which is a great little coffee shop. And Indian Wells has this tiny little shopping center, okay, with not much. But that's sort of nice about it because you don't have people really coming to Indian Wells for anything in particular. They're driving through the city on Highway 111 to go to La Quinta or Palm Desert because that's where all the stores are. So it's sort of nice, keeps people out. So if we look at Indian Wells, there's not a ton of non-gated homes. Indian Wells always has lower inventory levels than anywhere else in the valley, but Indian Wells has gorgeous country clubs like Indian Wells Country Club, one of the bigger ones. You have El Dorado Country Club, one of the bigger ones. You have the Vintage Club, one of the higher end ones. I mean, in these communities, I won't say who because you might be my client. If you're thinking about buying or selling in Indian Wells or anywhere in the valley, please reach out to me. I'm helping people daily, and I can't tell you how many people I work with from YouTube. It's nearly everyone at this point, and you could even see all my 5-star reviews on Google. I'm the real deal. So Indian Wells, the Vintage Club, has many billionaires that actually live in this community. It's very high end. It's like living at a Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons. With the amount of amenities in this community, the level of security in this community, and that's what brings people here. Another community is Desert Horizons, somewhere across the street over here. Desert Horizons, another great community. And then you have Toscana Country Club. So there are options. This luxury pro on my list right here is going to be the longest one because there's so much about that makes it luxurious and high end. Next pro I would like to say is that Indian Wells, it's very clean and it's quiet. Overall, people who live here, most of their lives are spent behind the gates of the country club, and it's a lot of second homes. So you don't have a lot of parties going on, Indian Wells, why it's quiet and clean, it helps. There's no short-term rentals. The city doesn't allow it. The only time they allow rentals less than like 30 days, it's going to be during the tennis tournament. They allow homeowners to rent out their home for like 7 days, but that's it. And because of that, you don't have all of these vacation rentals or short-term rentals in the city, making the city more transient and maybe more trash or more noise. If you're paying for a $2 or $3 million home, you don't want to be next to a house that's having house parties all the time, and that's one thing that makes Indian Wells, say, different than maybe even Palm Springs. Palm Springs, you could have multi-million-dollar homes, movie colony, all these amazing homes in Palm Springs, but you could have a neighbor that rents it out all the time. Now, Palm Springs has done a good job cracking down and making it more restrictive, where you can't have loud noise outside, but it still happens. And is that something that you even want to deal with? If you have $2, $3, $4, $5 million. So Indian Wells, it's very clean because of that. And it's just very quiet city because most of these homeowners in Indian Wells, it's a second or third home, believe it or not. What you find in the desert, and like the majority of my clients, they're snowbirds or they're people from out of area. That's how they find me on YouTube, like you're watching me now. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone who watches this channel weekly. Most of the people who live in Indian Wells, it's a second or third home. So even if you live in the non-gated area, you might see Ted or Billy, or I'm just coming up with random names. You might see your neighbor maybe a few times a year because they're just using it as a vacation home. So that's why it's just so quiet. And like I said, it's clean and the landscaping is immaculate. Now, the cons of living in Indian Wells, I would say for some people, it could be a little boring because really there's not much going on in Indian Wells besides the nest. The nest is a wild spot. I heard there's some cougars there. I'm married, okay, happily married, so I'm not going to the nest anytime soon. But yeah, that's where the cougars go, So, but other than the nest, that's probably the most happening thing. And that's why it is a quick drive to say El Paseo or La Quinta. But something you should know about the desert in general, the average age in Indian Wells is going to be in the 60s anyways. So if you're a 20, 30-year-old and somehow you have $2, $3 million for a home, you're probably not even going to consider living in Indian Wells or Rancho Mirage or maybe even the desert, because even in Palm Springs, well, Palm Springs is a little more happening, but Palm Springs would be the most happening spot. But we don't have like a nightclub or big night scene in the desert. So So, someone could say that Indian Wells is boring. And I have like 4 kids now, so I like boring. I like quiet, okay? I like working with all my 60 and 7-year-olds. The next thing I would say about Indian Wells that could turn off some people are the high home prices. So what you get in Indian Wells is not a lot. Some people might not like that. You know what I mean? Because for $2 million in Palm Desert, you could get something completely renovated and stunning, but it's not Indian Wells. So that's the thing, right? Condos in Indian Wells, 774,000, the median price. That's literally the prices of detached homes in the neighboring city of Palm Desert and even some in La Quinta. So that just shows you the level. So for some people, it's just too expensive. Now, not only I would say the home prices are expensive, but something else you have to know about Indian Wells, the HOAs are expensive. So say, for example, Desert Horizons Country Club, beautiful club. They just remodeled the clubhouse. I mean, it's stunning here. But the dues, the HOAs, it's the HOA and the social membership combined. It's like $1,900 a month. So it's expensive. And I mean, if you go to, for example, the Vintage and you want like a golf or social membership, I mean, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So overall in Indian Wells, the HOAs are going to be a lot higher for comparable cities. Say, you're looking in Monterey Country Club or even Indian Ridge or Ironwood Country Club in Palm Desert. The dues in Indian Wells are just going to be higher because you're in Indian Wells. So that could be a con for some people. I would say the last point I would like to make that could be a con about living in Indian Wells. Well, let's have 2. I'm gonna throw in a free one for you. A con could be it's not very walkable overall. There's not much around, but my counter argument to that, I'm arguing with myself, would be that you're probably going to be living in a country club or even the non-gated areas, and those areas are beautiful to walk around to. But if you're looking to like walk to shops and stuff and restaurants, you're just not going to have that. But that's how most of the valley is, to be honest. The next thing I would just say about living in the desert is, yeah, it gets hot. And that's just the way it is. I would say on average in the summer months, it's going to be 104 or 105 most days, but it can get up to 120 plus. So, if you're buying an Indian Wells, you're probably not going to be here during the summer months. Most likely, you're going to be a snowbird. So is that even a con to you? Probably not. I would say the biggest con for most people is it's just expensive. So that's all I have to say. So if you want to learn more about Indian Wells, I have this fantastic little playlist right here. And if you'd like me to personally help you, please reach out to me. Don't be shy. I would love to help you. Thanks for watching.